bensound.com.
G'day people, I'm back. This is part 6 of the Reclaim Your Securities series of videos. This one will be titled Ye Old Classic Bait and Switch Trick. And I just remind everyone that I'm speaking in generalities. The information you get through these videos is not 100% here. It's not complete. Please keep that in mind. I just want to say something here. Do you remember when I said Mom was the grantor of the security, the original registration of birth document, the certificate of live birth, or the statement of live birth? Just bring up a screen share here and show you that document again. This one here. There's a signature down here. Okay. So Mom, it started off with Mom was the grantor of that security, and the recipient of it, a government office, is the trustee at this point. But then sometime after registration of birth, an application was made for a birth certificate. Something like this. Okay, this is the second document. Keeping in mind both of these are securities. So I'll just put a stop on that. And if a birth certificate was issued, then the Registrar General granted it on behalf of the trust/corporation, and the trust/corporation, United States of America, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Britain, Germany, whatever, would be the grantor. So, refresher, started off as Mom is the grantor of the original birth registration security, but then an application was made for a birth certificate, which the government granted, was the grantor of. So it started with Mom as the grantor and ended with the government as the grantor. And again, it's all because it's based on the presumption that we abandon that original security. So you go back to if we abandon, now think about this, they presume we abandon the security that Mom granted. So if they presume we abandon that, then we have no claim, we're not there. So it's as if that document doesn't exist. Okay, it doesn't exist. The only thing that does exist now is the birth certificate, and we have that, and it was granted by the government. So who's the trustee now? Us. Simple as that. Keep in mind here, whoever accepts legal title accepts and confirms that the one granting it, the birth certificate in this instance, must have been the owner of the property in the first instance. So who but the recipient user of the birth certificate is the trustee now? This is the classic bait and switch, and we bought it hook, line, and sinker. This is why it is imperative and a necessary step that the birth certificate be endorsed and returned to the grantor of it. But don't be thinking all I have to do is endorse this birth certificate to get out and return it and get access to my divine inheritance. More knowledge is required, and that's why we offer the Reclaim Your Securities information package. Okay, and as I said in the introduction video, trusts, estates, and securities, we did not endorse or return the birth certificate. Nah. Instead, I get the lack of knowledge, lack of disclosure. I get that. No point talking about that. It's past is past. No, instead we went downstream and used the birth certificate to apply for a social insurance number or an SSN number, making us the trustee on that account. It is why you must account for and report income. We used the birth certificate to obtain a driver's license, making us a trustee on that account. We used it or other government issued documentation, one way or another, founded on the birth certificate, to obtain bank accounts, making us a trustee on those accounts. And on it went. Credit card accounts, a lot of them, all of it. Okay, do you see it? Do you see it? Are you beginning to sense how it came to be that we are assumed and presumed to be the trustees of our own estates? Are you kidding me? We're the trustees of our own estates, and it's all because I haven't. They're presuming I abandoned the original security, which represents my public estate. Things starting to go to ching for you here yet? Uh, Anyhow, it all stops, as I said, when we claim that registration of birth security, which, as I said in other videos, represents our public estates, the surety, the ultimate security. We claim this security via a proxy. Excuse me, and I'll touch more on the proxy in a little bit here. Now, the birth registration is the security, the pretend gold bar in trust that underwrites the securities, our promises to pay. I tell you, the whole thing, the whole system is based on the exchange of securities slash rights. And if that registration of birth security is not secured by you by way of proxy, you've got nothing. It is like the vault is empty of gold. There's nothing there backing the paper. It's why people like Winston Shrout are in jail, or our reason. And by the way, these certificate of live birth documents in the United States are called vault certificates. Get it? Hint, hint. And speaking of the registration of birth security, have you thought it through that if the government has not these on file, it cannot pledge us as taxpayers? It doesn't have that underlying foundational security. Think about it. If it doesn't have that, it doesn't have a birth certificate, no social insurance numbers, no SSN numbers, no driver's licenses, none of that can exist. So again, it all goes back to the foundational security. Okay. And without that document, there can be no taxpayers. Just think about that. And without taxpayers, the government cannot borrow from the financiers, because hence application for a SIN number or SSN number is a securities future. You do know that taxes pays interest to the government bondholders, not for infrastructure. In fact, it was raised in the Parliament of Canada. Why cannot the people get the benefit of their own gilt-edged credit? Well, we can. We've got to reclaim these securities. In any case, that's a true story. You'll find it in the Hansers from 1938-ish, Standing Committee on Banking and Commerce, and that's where they were interviewing the very first governor to the Bank of Canada, Graham Towers. One other thing I want to say here. Whatever. So anyhow, so yes, we can get the benefit of our own gilt-edged credit. And when we do, the wealth that was taken from us must return home to the principal. Again, we have to reclaim those securities. Nothing's going to happen until we do. But wait, I'm not done yet. The screwing continues. The same bait and switch applies to the car, the boat, the truck, the recreational vehicle, and. The car, the boat, the truck, etc., are granted into the public trust via the registration of the vehicle, which is actually the registration of the manufacturer's certificate of origin or new vehicle information statement, which are also securities. Then a certificate of title is issued, another security. You'll find that in your glove box, most people. Again, the recipient of this certificate, like the birth certificate, is the trustee of the property, the car, the boat, whatever. This is evidenced by the fact that you have to make sure the property is insured, properly plated, and the driver operator licensed, or you may be relieved of the enjoyment of the property by the cops. Why is this? Simple. Because the rules, the codes, the laws, and the regulations apply to the trustee. That said, it began with the presumption we abandon our securities. In this example, the manufacturer's certificate of origin or new vehicle information statement or lake document that should come with the property, the car, the truck, whether it's purchased new or used. It's part of the car. It's part of the property. Nobody thinks about this. I didn't either. So when you purchase the car, new or used, it should be coming with that paper that's part of the car. When it leaves the manufacturing facility, the car leaves, it's got that new vehicle information statement, MCO, comes with the car. It's part of what you're purchasing. It's part of the property, but we never see it. And it's okay that that happens too, because well, once you've reclaimed it, again, it's presumed we abandon those securities, which is part of reclaiming your securities. Where did I leave off here? So, do you not see how the game being played across, that it's the same game being played across the board, with whether it be registration of birth or registration of property such as automobiles through certificates of title, pardon me, such as manufacturer certificate of origin, statement of birth. It's all representing property, the car or your body, with respect to the certificate of live birth. So anyhow, like I said, the whole thing right across the board is they have presumed we've abandoned our securities. So we just need to see these documents, these securities, for what they are, securities. We can apply the same knowledge here to undo this bait and switch, freeing the property from government control. So the actions were taken to free your body from government control. You can do the same thing here. All starts the same: registration of a document, the founding document, the certificate of origin, whatever, statement of birth, and the issue of a certificate. And so anyhow, it's like the birth certificate. We have to, well, anyhow, we can undo these other bait and switches as well, following the same principles, the exact same principles. And the proxy that I mentioned earlier is an entity we establish, or you establish. It will be a person under your sole control to represent you, the man, in the public where they see only persons. This keeps you in the private. This entity, therefore, is not registered anywhere on the planet, so no government has its tentacles into it, and no government can construe it as a trustee. Understand that. We have the paperwork and the tutorials how to construct your proxy. It is part of a Reclaim Your Securities information package. If you go to restorethekingdomofgod.blogspot.com for more information, be sure to click on each of the 3 hyperlinks. One's sample of info, another is must read, and the other is the uniform securitization scheme, aka the birth certificate scam. It lays out the paper trail from the moment, starting at the hospital birth record right through to the issue of the birth certificate, which, as I said before, is not a bond, but it's evidence that a bond exists. And I just want to put it on pause here for a moment. Thanks. Sorry. That's pretty much it that I had for today. I'm just trying to keep these videos short and on point. Speaking for myself, been on this path 21 years. I'm really not interested in listening to audios any more than maybe 60 minutes, or watching videos more than 60 minutes. Certainly not into 2-hour, 3-hour videos, blah, 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 and again and again and again, because sometimes you want to listen to these more than once. And so I like to keep these as short as possible and as on point as possible. So the ultimate point is here is it starts with mom as the grantor of the statement of live birth, original birth registration security. They presume we abandon that. In the meantime, a birth certificate has been issued. We're holding that, so now we're the trustee of that. We are the grantee, and the government's the grantor. We're holding it, so now we're the trustee, and they hold the equitable title. Same thing with an automobile. Later on, you come along and you purchase a brand new car. The certificate of title to that, like the statement of live birth, or which is called a manufacturer certificate of origin, or new vehicle information statement, is also registered into the system, and a certificate of title, birth certificate issued. And again, they presume we abandon the MCO and the NVIS, the new vehicle information statement, which leaves them now as the grantor of the certificate that we're holding, which makes us the trustee. And this is it, people. Hopefully you can see this and do a little bit of your own thinking and pondering on it. Sit outside in a rock and just think about it. Put some paperwork in front of your face, whatever it takes to see the light. And on that note, I am done for now. I love you. I send love and hugs. God bless you. Thank you for putting up with me, and I bid you adieu. Me again. Sorry. I just thought I better clarify something here. So the original trust was established when Mom granted basically the document that represents her public estates into the trust. Then after that, so she's the grantor. After that, anything and everything you do in that name of that birth registration, you're the grantor. Knowingly or unknowingly, we're the grantor. So again, if you purchase a new car, even a used car, it should be coming with the new vehicle information statement, the statement of birth for the car, if I can put it that way. And it's part of the purchase, it's part of the property. And whether or not it comes with the car is still part of the property. So you just acknowledge that I didn't, but just by acknowledging whoever has it to whoever has that document, i.e. the government. I didn't abandon that. You're just acknowledging that now they're holding something that belongs to you. It's a beautiful thing. So it starts with mom as a grantor in the original situation, puts the estate into trust, of, put it that way, this, the ultimate security and your public estate, and then we take control of that. But then also after that, everything you do now, because it's you doing, you're the one that goes to work, buys the car, so on and so forth, the home, blah 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 blah, over your lifetime. And these documents of ownership, vote right ownership to these things are already in the trust or granted into the trust by you, as the case may be. That makes you the grantor, but not until you say, no, I didn't abandon those securities. If they've already been presumed abandoned, or by the way, I have no problem doing this, but I'm not abandoning the security. So basically you're saying whoever's accepting it now that they're taking it into trust as trustee. And that's it. Just more food for thought there for you, people. Thank you so much. God bless. Love you. Bye. Sorry, I had to come back here again. I was just editing or going through the video I just did, and I was just thinking about something came to mind here, and I thought it was kind of funny, and I thought I just wanted to add it in here, and that is, there's a lot of people out there that fear this all capital letter name. Oh, it's a bad thing. They got to distance themselves from it. It's evil. It's being used against me. It's a corporation. It's a name of a corporation. Blah 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 blah. This reclaim your securities process, you're taking control of that. The reason, and so there's nothing to fear here. We don't part of this process, we don't really change anything as far as the public is concerned. Everything looks the same. It's just that from behind the scenes, now from the private through our proxy, we're in control of the situation, and they know it. So there's no more using this name to take from me anymore. So now it's not so bad. But that's, again, it all comes back down to the fact that we've been presumed to abandon those securities, that all of this nonsense is happening to people. And thus it's reclaiming our securities properly in the proper manner that stops this nonsense from happening to people. So there's, all I wanted to say here is there's nothing to fear with respect to these all capital letter names, or I don't care what format it is on their documentation or in their computer systems. It makes no difference. This process of reclaiming your securities, we have control of all of that, plus the fruits of it. You get it? So there's nowhere for them to go anymore. Ponder on that. God bless you. I love you. Ciao.